So now we're going to look at adding and subtracting again, and we are going to look at adding and subtracting rational numbers. So we've already reviewed how we add and subtract positive and negative numbers, which are called integers. But now we might have problems that have fractions, or maybe are decimals. And so our process is still going to be the exact same. So when it says how are adding and subtracting integers related to add and subtract other rational numbers, the process is the same. I really like the way that they have the try it set up, and this is off of page 32 in your book. You can see the page number down there. So let's go ahead and look at this. It says a dolphin is at the surface of the water and then descends to a depth of 4.5 feet. Then the dolphin swims down, so going further down, another 2 3/4 feet. What is the location of the dolphin relative to the surface of the water? Well, if we're already 4.5 feet below, and we're going another 2 3/4 feet below. Okay, so we're going to subtract 2 3/4 more feet. We want to see how far that dolphin is relative to the surface of the water. Here would be the surface. Okay, so if we take that away, we can change all of our subtraction to add the opposite. And so we're really just going to end up adding these, because we know if we have a negative plus a negative, we're getting a larger negative. So I would like to set this up, and you just had a review over making common denominators so we can add fractions. So we have a -4 and a -2 that we're going to add, which we know is a -6. And we have a 1/2 that we need to add with our 3/4. But we need to make our common denominator because we cannot add fractions that don't have common denominators. So it's 2/4 and 3/4, which we know is 5 1/4. Okay, so if we have another 5 1/4, that's actually 1 whole and 1/4 if we change our our improper fraction to a mixed number. So instead of just -6 feet below the surface, we are going to be negative, if we put those two together, we're going to be at a -7 feet and 1/4 foot, -7 1/4 foot below the surface of the water. And I'm saying the surface of the water is at 0. So 0 would be right where the water level is. The dolphin goes down 4.5 feet and then goes down another 2 3/4 feet, and that entire distance is 7 1/4 feet, and it's a negative because it's below. I really like the picture. I think the picture helps us to figure out how we are putting these positive and negative numbers together by adding or subtracting. Let's another example here. Okay, and this example is dealing with decimals. But I like it because I like the way that I don't even look at the way they set this up as much as I like the visual. I'm a visual person. So if I look at my number line, it says that Ruby holds the net at 0.5 meter above the surface, or sea level. So we can see sea level here is 0. And then the fish are below sea level because they're under the water, and they're down 0.4 meters, so that's a negative. And we want to know, or what they're trying to find, is if Ruby has a 1 meter long net, will she be able to reach the fish? And so as we look at this problem, we can see that from the 0.5 to the 0.4, if we counted each of these, it'd be 0.1. And how many are we moving? How many spaces? It would be 0.9 total meters. And 1 meter long net then would work. We would be able to reach that fish. Not much further, but we would be able to reach that fish. Let's look at the try it. Again, I like the visual and sometimes drawing out the picture for these. 2 divers are swimming at different depths below sea level. So we can think of, here's my sea level at 0. One of them is negative 25.5 feet below. The other diver is even further below at negative 40.75. How much farther below is the farthest diver? So that we want to find out what is the difference in these two values. What is the difference in these two values? So I would look at this as taking my furthest, the 40.75, and taking away the 25.5, and we know we can add a 0. And if we subtract, we get 15.25. And we know that that distance between them is going to be a negative distance. That's what our picture, I think, helps with. How much farther below? He is negative 15.25 feet further below sea level. So the biggest thing we need to remember is what we just ended up reviewing. As far as we need common denominators in order to add or subtract fractions. Okay, dealing with some decimals here. We need to make sure we can change improper fractions to mixed numbers and vice versa, going the other direction. But as far as our adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers and rational numbers, which are fractions and decimals, the process is the same. That's it.